morning. It is a overcast, slightly cool morning. It is October now. We passed off into the new month over the weekend. So pretty excited about that. It's a great season. Let me put my tweet out real quick. That is done. Okay, so got a few things to mention this morning. Just going to kind of go over what my plans are for this month in general. I mean, we may skip around on various projects, but in general, I'd like to cover some of the basics that we kind of hit on this time last year, including like decorating for the holidays. I know a lot of folks that like to match their decor or at least accent their existing houses or, you know, places of businesses or whatever with decorations that ring in the given season. And if you hear some loud noises, they're doing some work outside on the road. I think it's actually they're installing some kind of a wire or pipe or something along, so they're being very loud this morning. Anyway, so we're going to go over things like the wreath that's here. You can see that it's something I made last year. It's just a fall generalized kind of decoration that someone could put on their door of their house or hang it in the window or maybe on a balcony or something like that. We'll be going over things like centerpieces for your tables, food items. We might, I don't know if we'll actually make any, but we'll talk about some. Just different ideas. We'll be doing a lot of brainstorming for decorations and things that people might be looking to make and don't have any kind of starting place as far as like items they want to use, how to arrange them, you know, shortcuts in like helping to make a nice circle type of feature, that kind of stuff. We're also going to be going over, of course, things that relate to this month's CBDC, which we'll be announcing here shortly. Hey, Bones, thank you for the host. And probably some other things. We may even start touching on, as we get towards the end of the month, we may start touching on things that relate to, even though November is kind of still in the fall and not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving and stuff, we may talk about that. Maybe someone wants to make a party turkey or something for their house or whatever. Hey, Poi, good morning. Glad you could join us. So yeah, just a few things that I wanted to make sure that you guys can expect. That you know, if that doesn't really interest you, then you know not to tune in this month, because it's going to be mostly just a lot of fall decorations, Shades Eve type of theme stuff, and just general like that. I don't think I'm going to be doing an actual full-on Shades Eve plot. I'll explain that more in a little bit, but I know a lot of folks that are going to be wanting to. Especially when the Shades Eve event actually starts up, we're going to be having access to a lot of Shades Eve themed decor, likely new stuff as well. We already saw some previews from, I think it was Peregrine, that was listing out some things that may be coming with the cash shop, because I think they're kind of running with the cash shop being, you know, while there are themed things that we get through the event, which is separate from the cash shop, they're still going to run some new Shades Eve themed or holiday themed decor through the cash shop. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff. So I anticipate a lot of people wanting to use those in their builds, and so we'll probably be seeing more and more spooky type themes and that kind of thing. Now, last year I went through, kind of made a point for every week during October that we would visit spooky themed plots. I don't know if I want to do that again this year. What I may do is just kind of each week, maybe at least insert one spooky themed plot. I just don't know if I want to focus completely on that. Um, One, I'm not sure I can find enough that will cover. Uh, and it's not that I probably couldn't find enough, but not enough new ones. I figure there's probably a lot of the ones that we toured last year are probably still around and viable. Um, so I'll just decide sometime between now and Wednesday if we're going to do focus completely on dark plots. I kind of don't want to, but it may just be kind of best to stick with the theme. Um, oh, Heavy Bones, is it, are you talking about Penny Dreadful? Been waiting for you to finish up some of the other stuff. I know I like it's like an Incan kind of pyramid thing. I think it was on Penny's place. Anyway, I would like to mention that I have set up my own auto hosting thing. Uh, Yeah, I believe we did. I believe we did. I'd have to look through last year's listings, Bones, um, which I'm not going to do at this moment, but I'm pretty sure it's in there somewhere. Um, anyway, what I was going to say was I have set up my Twitch to auto host fellow channels. And so if you notice, if you drop by the channel and happen to see it running and it's not housing stuff, that's probably why. Because we don't have too many. I think right now I'm currently the only one that regularly does housing stuff. I know Jamstar does some, uh, but he also does other things as well. So I think I'm the only one that's exclusively housing. So there's no point in me restricting it to only housing streamers, because then it would just be me and Jam. So I've included Cal's stream in there as well. So whenever I'm not online streaming and they happen to be, one of their channels will pop up instead. If you know of any other streamers that are actively streaming at least a few times a week, WildStar gameplay and such, and you think they would be a good addition to the playlist, please let me know. I would have put Maximus's channel on there, but I don't think he's currently working on WildStar. I haven't seen his tweets or video uh, announcements in quite a while, so I probably even should update some of our commands and stuff to remove him from there, because it's kind of pointless to direct people there if he's not really showing any of the WildStar stuff. But I know with every influx of players, we get some that decide to kind of embark on that. And so if you know of anyone that's started up a channel or is looking to, you know, get some more attention, feel free to point them out to me. Now, I'm not looking for them to reciprocate. They don't have to, you know, host mine. It would be nice, but I'm not expecting it. I'm just helping to promote those that are also promoting WildStar, whether it be housing or not. To that end, again, I was going to add Ayuni's stream as well, but from what I can tell, they haven't done any WildStar stuff either. I think most of them have moved off into Overwatch, and I think Ayuni was posting some stuff about Rift. I think they've discovered dimensions over there, so they're having some fun with that, and probably World of Warcraft as well. So Well, I want to again promote folks. I want to keep it focused on at least WildStar primarily. Even if they do a little bit of something else, as long as they're doing WildStar pretty regularly, then I'm happy to include them in the list. But yeah, I understand that folks' priorities change or their interests move on, and so yeah. So for the time being, it's just the two extra channels that I have listed, and it prioritizes gems over cows because his does do some housing stuff every now and then. But um, yeah, I've seen it work. I wasn't sure. I don't know if you guys do you guys get like a notice saying that someone's on the channel? I assume not. I think you only get a notice when I go on to online. But anyway, um, let's see. The next thing is, boy, that noise is really going to be distracting for me. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's pretty loud to me. So yeah, I guess we'll get to the CBDC theme for this month. I don't know how enticing it's going to be for some of you, but hopefully you'll want to participate. This month's theme is monsters. Basically, I'm looking for your custom-built monster creations. It can be a well-known monster. It can be one of your imagination. If you want to build a giant, you know, poison-dripping spider with, double the legs or something, that's up to you. As long as it's monster-related and in the spirit of Shades Eve. Um, uh, I'm not looking for like cutesy particularly. I do want to kind of have it a little bit, well, I hate to say and limit it because I'm sure there's going to be some that could probably come up with cutesy monsters, but we're just going to say monsters. It's basically anything goes, whether you make it up out of your brain, maybe you have a nightmare or something or whatever, and you want to put it into an actual three-dimensional object in the game, then go for it. Yeah, boy, they are kind of troublesome. I don't know, they're tilted funny. At least the bottom part where the little splash part is, I had trouble with that. Because if I make it even, then it's actually like angled up at the level of the water, and you have to keep tilting it. I don't know. Whoops, I just kind of lost connection. Hold on a minute. Let me just. Let me log in again. That's what I get for talking too much. Whoops, I just completely closed the game. How silly is that? I have to remember to wiggle her every now and then so she doesn't stop. But yeah, I don't. It's not that I don't like the waterfalls. I think they look amazing, but they are difficult. Oh, are they? Ugh. Yeah, I don't think that would be very fun. Okay, we're coming back in. We're good. Oh, off of there. Okay, going back into the store. Oh gosh. Yeah, the one I placed on Turnip's plot, it took me about 15-20 minutes to kind of get it. And it's really not even exact. In fact, I left the old um, waterfall there because if I moved it off, it looked a little weird for the new one. I don't know why, but that's the way it was. I got one pack, I put it on Turnip's plot because I have these little mini plots that I have, and I always have in the back of my mind, one day I'm going to expand it and add to it. And I keep thinking I'm going to, make some more for her plot because all she is got that like a canyon with the water and everything, and I just have no idea how I want to approach that. Okay, so like I said, we're looking for monsters, and some of you may recall this little thing here. This is something I made. Wasn't necessarily for Annie, but it was inspired by Annie Loy's drawings that she did last year, doing some sketches of. She was wanting to come up with a Halloween-inspired mailbox, and she sketched up a little like vampire bat sitting on a tombstone, and I just took it upon myself. She didn't ask me to do it. I just did it off the cuff. Tried to replicate her sketch. Now, I'm showing this because I want to show you that you don't have to have like, you don't have to just keep it as like a monster statue. If you want to, build it into something useful, like a mailbox cover, or maybe you want to do a gargoyle for a house. If you want to make a painting of a monster, maybe just a portrait of one of them, or you want to do like a movie scene for a big panel, or like a indoor theater, or if you want to do a play version, we may even goof around with that, see if we can come up with something for that. If you want to do I don't want to say monster costumes per se, because we really want the monster, not just what they're wearing or anything. But I'm just saying you don't have to like go all out, and we're not looking for like is any in specific as far as it has to be a full plot build or anything like that. If you just want to build, say you have a store like this and you want to just build one little monster statue, that's perfectly fine. If you want to build an entire plot around your monster, say you're doing Swamp Thing or something and you want to make an actual swamp with an old rickety shed or something, maybe you want to do an actual movie scene from a horror film or something that has a monster in it. That's entirely up to you how extensive you get with it. I want to leave it so that for those that don't have a whole lot of time and just want to put together a small idea, they can do that. For those that have a little bit more time on their hands and willingness to dedicate more time into putting it together, if you want to do a full plot thing, great. Anything in between, great. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be, this, I don't consider that really spooky. It's kind of cutesy, but it's supposed to be a vampire bat. Now, we're not looking for things like this. That's just a decoration. We will be going over some of that through the month for those that are looking for it. But when it comes to monsters, I'm looking for actual creatures or beings of some sort. You might notice that Frankie's gone. This is where Frankie used to be. I'm going to show you where he is now. Let me just walk you right over. And you may recall that the Haunted House Fab Kit that's on this plot, I had actually turned it to a beach scene. That is no longer there. We are changing it up. But here's Frankie. This is what I'm talking about, my monster statue from last year. I just used a lot of obsidian stones for his outfit. He was kind of just all black, gray kind of stuff. Boxes of bolts for his shoes. Thinker heads for his head, neck, and part of his hands, and then green pillows for his fingers, hammers for the bolts in his neck, and then I gave him a little lamp. But we've changed this up a little bit, added some cobwebs. Basically, it's like the store's little haunted area. You can see that I've changed even the entrance a bit. I've used some of those scary eyes that we got from last year's Shades Eve. These two here, those are actually, you probably hear the crackling. I don't have my sound up, but that's small campfires that I'm using for extra blinky eyes, because some of the blinky eyes are used elsewhere. No, he didn't go to Hollywood. He just came into the other side of the mall. He just made a short trip. Um, but this is a good example of what I'm looking for, is a monster creation of your making. It can be a well-known one like Dracula, the Mummy, the Werewolf Man, whatever you want to make. Or it can be something that you come up with entirely on your own. I don't want to limit you to only those that everyone's familiar with. Just, be sure and tell me what it is, because if it's like some kind of tentacle thing and you have a special name for it, I might not know what it's called. This one's a little tricky to get into. You kind of have to have your camera just right, and it gets the button to come up. And you can see that I've completely changed it up quite a bit. But we'll get to this more probably later, not today. I'm just kind of giving you a first glimpse. Nothing's set. I'm just kind of been playing around with getting the scene the way I want. It's spooky windows that I'm using for the walls and ceiling. So it has this extra layer of, I don't know what that is. And it kind of bugs me with the lines, but if you kind of like lift your camera up, that one disappears and it looks a little bit better. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm happy with it as it is or not, but we'll see what we're going to do with it later. What we're probably going to do this month is Turnip's Place is the one that's got the house on stilts. I usually kind of use it for decoration time. So what we'll probably do off and on this month is visit her place and like do some actual just basic fall decorations, like the wreath, maybe create our own special bowl of candy, since I have very few of those pumpkin candy bowls. Maybe we'll try and see if we can come up with some garland decorations, for like the Winterfest. It's usually green with like little holly berries and things like that. Maybe we can come up with some that we can use for fall, not Shades Eve necessarily, but just for fall. Because Shades Eve, we have a lot of the spooky string lights and stuff that you could probably go for. But maybe we'll come up with some other ones. It's difficult though, because I was thinking, well, what kind of string stuff would we probably expect to see? And I kept thinking of like a string of bats, but that's black. We don't have a lot of small, totally black items. We have things with black parts, but it would be kind of difficult to use them. So I don't know if I can come up with something that'll work like that. It's like this, they would have preferred the bat to be black, but there's really not any black building blocks that I know of. We have some black bits, but not anything nice and solid like this. So I don't know how easy that would be. We might try to make our own carved pumpkin. Again, I don't know if that's going to be doable. I had thought about doing it last year, but got sidetracked with other things, so never gave it a real fair shot. We do have, if you had the benefit of participating in last year's, there's a lot of the gourds that have carvings on their body. Wow, it's vibrating the whole house. They're jackhammering or whatever outside. So these will be really nice. Of course, if you don't have those, you may be like, well, I can't do anything nice like that. So we may try and see if we can come up with some of our own versions. Maybe we want to change the faces or something. Same way with spider webs, like cobwebs. Uh, these aren't that easy to come by. They're like world drops and ones from, honestly, I don't know where all they come from. I know there's an augmented one that you can get, I think, from the vendor at the front. I think he has one.
Only death should dissuade you from a purchase.
You can get the pumpkin from here, which is handy. This may be the one we use to try and carve it. Yeah, altered spider web. Not exactly the same as the others, but you know, if you're desperate and looking for some kind of spider web stuff, that would be an option if you can't get a hold of the other ones. Usually I just get mine from the auction house, so I assume a lot of them are from rare drops, either in some kind of an instance or just world drop. One alternative you might consider is the eggs. There's the augmented, of course, and the cluster, but the ones that you can get from the vendor, they do have little bits of spider webbing looking stuff. But you might be able to like hide the egg into the wall and just have the webbing, especially this one here. It's really fine, and that's my only other alternative for those that don't have actual webs that you would like. It's just like vibrating my brain. I would just like enlarge it and then sink the egg down into the wall, and then I have some webbing there. And that would be a poor man's way of getting some kind of webs. And, you know, you'd have to figure out the angle and all of that kind of stuff, how you want it to. But that would be one way to get some webbing in a haunted house, or you know, abandoned building that you want to add into your plot, and you don't have those nice nifty little drooping spider webs. This is an alternative, and it's easy to get a hold of. That's probably the big thing. Excuse me. So as we go through the month, we may just be doing a lot of brainstorming as far as things that someone might can use if they're trying to set up a particular theme or scene, that kind of stuff. That's just really loud. For those curious, though, for the bat, it's mostly domes for the body. There's some falcon fences for like the teeth and the claws. Triangle pieces for the wings. I had a lot of trouble with that, especially trying to kind of mirror it, because it's not like I could just take the set and copy it, because the back looks different than the front because of the way the triangles are positioned. So it was really awkward. I think it's grain sacks, sandbags for the dirt. That's supposed to be like the grave. Probably the hardest thing to get a hold of here was the wall-mounted Draken hand. I wanted that. She had that as like holding some mail, so I added like a scroll, which is just toilet paper rolls for that. Of course, the tombstone is an actual gravestone that architects can craft. They can craft both the Exile version and the Dominion version, depending on your preference. The hole there is just a spacecraft window being used to make it look a little dark, and then just cardboard boxes and notes in a bottle for the mail. It's kind of my go-to thing for that. This is one of the Arctera bones, the ice serpent claw bones. I just fiddled and twiddled with it until that one bone was showing, because again, I was going off of her sketch. And then of course the chupacabra skull, which is pretty cheap, or it was at one point, for that. The eyes and nose are mint tanks, my favorite black facial feature stuff. And that's pretty much it on that. Um, I think having the tombstone as the mailbox is a pretty fun idea. When she uh, posted her picture, I kind of fell in love with that idea because, you know me, usually on most all of my plots, if I do have a mailbox, I kind of change it up. I never use the ones as they standard. I don't use the Oran version or the Granite version. If I'm going to make them, I make my own. I have more fun doing it that way. Uh, I don't know why. It's an unnecessary thing because we have the actual decor pieces that look like mailboxes, but I prefer to make my own. And when she put up that sketch, I couldn't resist doing that. Yeah, apartment for dead letters. Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, um, trying to decide if we want to do decorating or CBDC stuff. I guess we could see about CBDC. Since I already did Frankenstein, fondly call him Frankie, I think it's probably fitting if I try to come up with a way to make the bride of Frankenstein. How exactly I'm going to do that, I don't know. I'm just kind of looking here to see about height. You can see he's like twice the height my character is. Can't go by the doofy hat she's wearing, but so I kind of want to keep that in mind when I start building the little monster statue of Bride of Frankenstein. So probably I guess we'll go to Dill's place. I think probably the easiest. CBDC warehouse, I think is what I called it. Yeah. And we're going to see if we can start with at least collecting some items that I think I might be able to use. So when you think of Bride of Frankenstein, first thing comes into mind is her funky hairdo. I don't know, she's got like blackish gray hair that's kind of, I don't know, it's like she was riding on the back of a motorcycle and it got stuck. So it's kind of pointed in the back. It's like stands out, and then she's got this white skunk stripe on the side. I don't know what that's supposed to represent, the lightning that she got zapped with or what, but let me just move these out of the way. I'm not even sure if I was just goofing around with these. I kind of liked the idea of these fake trees, so I was playing with different ideas, trying to come up with different types of trees, and I just kind of went nuts with the pillows. Um, I figure if you want to do a winter scene, you could have that and then just put some snow clumps on it and it'd look like it's snow covered. And this one's just strange anyway. Is that all of them? No. This is what you get when you don't link your stuff as you're working on it. Forget and okay. So thanks for well, I figure I've seen a lot of people do theater type stuff, and it always, usually they just use the actual trees, but I thought it would be fun. It's kind of goofy that you use like these obviously fake props. I think that's fun. It reminds me of like the school plays we used to do when I was younger. Okay, so I'm gonna have to look up some pictures. 'Cause I think she's just wearing white, like a white robe thingy. And it looks like she's got bandages on her arms, which that's gonna probably prove very difficult. And her hair is just so, I think that'll be like the key thing. If I can nail that, maybe the rest won't be too uh, critiqued too much. If I can get the hair right, then I think we'll be good. Let me move this to a different window so I can have all of this open. So I think we'll start with the head first to try and get at least the hair right. I'm not even sure how we're going to do the face because Frankie's was pretty easy. We had the thinker head, and it just looks like a Frankenstein face just because it's, really the jaw is chunky and stony and kind of creepy looking, and it works. And I cannot think of any decor piece that has a more feminine face that I could probably use. I know there's like um, the taurine stuff that has like female face, but that doesn't quite work. Like like this, that looks Egyptian to me. Um, so like if somebody wanted to do an Egyptian thing and wanted to do like the Sphinx or whatever, that would be a perfect face for that. This has that sword in her face, and again, it's blue and it looks a little funny. This one, she just looks like she has no neck, and I don't know, it's just weird, and it moves. Same way with this one, it moves. We got some voodoo masks, but that doesn't quite match. I had thought about just using a mannequin and then building around it, but last time I tried uh, like putting like some clothes on uh, a mannequin, I had trouble placing it. It kept like moving or wouldn't place it on there. So I don't know if a mannequin will work. I can't think of any plushies that has a kind of a face that might work. I may have to just patch it together, which maybe would probably be to my benefit if I can use several different plushies to patch it together. It'll look like she's got stitches and stuff with the stitches from the thing, so maybe that. Um, she's kind of white, so maybe the WildStar plushies will work. I don't know. I'll just have to experiment on that. But I think we're going to concentrate on her hair for now. Um, one good thing about it, it'll be like building up a wig, kind of like Snow White's. And as long as you kind of get the basic shape of it all right, the size of it you can adjust. So we're going to start it out pretty big, and trying to think. I don't think we have anything fuzzy that's black. So I'm guessing the tires is probably where I'm going to go with it. It's not the easiest thing to work with because, you have those sides with the rims to hide, but I'm hoping that we can kind of work around that. So first let me get this straight. And we're going to tilt it. We're just going to say it about 30. I'm talking about custom. Like last year when it was Winterfest, I had that ice skating rink um, underneath the shopping center, and I wanted to put a little skirt on. I'd actually wanted to use those blue. formation circle crystals that I used for Cinderella's gown. I wanted to do that on the NPC, and the stuff kept popping up above her head. Now I managed to like put a tie on one of the actual NPCs, but the mannequins I had trouble adding my own decorations to. Because I've seen lots of people use the NPCs, they'll like give them hats, or something to hold, like a plushie in their hand when they're wiggling their hands or something like that. I've seen that, and of course, like I said, I've done the one where I gave him a tie. He's the one that does he's like the maitre d' at the Valentine plot. But for the mannequins, I always had trouble getting things to stay. It's like it has a barrier that it won't allow you to enter or something. Because I wanted to give her a nice little blue skirt while she was ice skating on the rink, but it didn't work. So I was like, no, can't do it. But yeah, I guess if I could come up with a costume, but again, it wouldn't be like a skirt kind of thing. You think that would work? I don't know. I don't know if her hair is like gonna look too like a cake or something. Oh, well, then I'll keep that in mind. So build the costume for, well, to me that would be kind of tough to make sure that the costume was the right proportion, ratio, whatever. Because don't the mannequins, you can't adjust their size. I mean, I would assume they probably are buggy like the other ones, like putting in one of the NPCs and then shrinking it and then having it resize when you leave the plot. Huh. Well, now I was able to do that with the little space dude on the oh gosh, I think it's the I think it's Parsley. The theater place, the pretzel guy. I actually have shoes linked to him, I think, or maybe I have him linked. Okay, he's not a mannequin though. That's probably it. The mannequins just behave differently than, but I have his shoes linked to him. The little poor dude. I didn't like him as tall as he was. But yeah, I'm thinking of something else because that's not a mannequin. See, I don't have much experience with them because I just I don't use them very often. I think the only time I used the mannequins on this plot was last year when we did the skating rink. I had both of them out. I had them decked out in winter kind of outfits with the snow caps and stuff. And whoops, I went to the wrong plot, didn't I? But yeah, I suspect they probably are kind of restricted to their size. So you have to leave them their size. I'll have to experiment, I guess. I'm just reluctant to buy because I don't know if I want to mess with it. Did you see that I got stuck in the door? I think it was my hat got stuck. Now you're probably wondering, why are you adding that? Because there's still, and I'm hoping that it kind of makes it look like extra little curls and bits. I don't know if that's really gonna come off like that, but that was the idea. I think that's starting to vibrate in my head now. I'm gonna end up having a headache after them banging away on the whatever it is they're chopping up out there. I guess they're just breaking up the entire sidewalk. I don't know if that looks right or not. Got some strange hair, lady. Like a funny Marge Simpson. That's what it's looking like to me. Again, I'm just trying to smooth this up so it doesn't look like a tiered cake. It's more like one of those, I don't know, funny bouffant thingies or something. I don't even know if that's an actual word. Is that a word, bouffant? I'm really bad like my mom. She makes up words and then I hear them and I use them and it's probably not a real word. It's like a granny bun. That's kind of what it's looking like. Like Elvira, yeah. Or on Simpsons, she's called Boobarella or something, I think. Wow. Just a big mass of tire. I'm sure someone could come up with a way of doing this without using so many pieces, but that's what happens when you're experimenting and you're not sure how you want to put it together. Maybe I should just have the tires up, vertical and then make a little round with it and call it good that way. I'll probably switch that up later when I figure out how I want this to look. And I can see if I remove this one, it doesn't really change too much. So let's try that again. Let's see. Oh, whoa, just gonna lose it all together there. Let's do it this way. I feel a sneeze coming on. Excuse me. Yeah, I think Homer's played Frankenstein a few times as well. But she's got that really stuck up hair anyway, so it fits perfectly. Oh, let me, here, I did all that work and I'm just gonna create it all. I think I can get away with maybe fewer pieces if I do it this way. Okay. Do our usual 90-90 bit. Notice the centering of the wheel is not where you would expect it. It's just kind of not there. Oh boy. I guess that makes me a bad parent because we've watched Simpsons forever. My son thinks it's a ridiculous show. Now, you probably thought it was funny at the time, but yeah, I guess when they start kind of hitting their siblings over the head with a hammer like Maggie does, that might be not the best role model kind of thing. Okay, there we have a little blackish ball. So let me grab the one, link just the ball stuff. Okay. And find Dill's bit. Look at that. I have no idea what is 0. What the water? I think that's the entire plot. I think that's what that is. Or I have no idea. So we'll just clear that one. We're going to rename it to hair. And we're going to add link set. So that's 4 tires to make that little ball. Yeah, I still play that, Bones. I've been loving they had the 4 times where it produces 4 times as much of the resources from uh, Springfield Heights. I've gotten 2 of the pieces already that I had been sitting on forever because I've only just been sending that lady on the real estate lady on her little 8-hour quest for like months. I haven't made any progress, and finally I'm gotten Zip's mansion and everything. We don't really watch Futurama. I think it's partly because they don't really show it here. They do a lot of The Simpsons reruns and stuff. Either that or it's on a time or channel we don't get or something. I don't know. I think the one, South Park, I think is the one my husband likes to watch sometimes. I can't stand that show, but South Park, and then there's a new one with, well, I know he watches Family Guy sometimes. We see that. Um, and then there's another one, Bob something, where he runs a burger shop or something, Bob's Burgers, I think. Yeah, I finished clearing the quest yesterday, and I'm working on the last unlock, which I guess is to get the, what is it, 1 billion um, real estate value or something. I'm slowly creeping my way up, so I'm um, hoping that I think the only thing that I haven't finished, I got the one quest, the tree, with Lisa building the tree and making that thing really huge. I kind of stopped doing that. So okay, so we have a ball of hair. Let's put another ball of hair out there. This would be good for a yarn, actually. I have to look into that and maybe put some balls of yarn in my uh, clothing shop. Okay, this is on Dill hair. So 4 tires made that little ball. That works out really good, I think. It's just whether or not we're going to get this to look naturally the right shape. link again. And what do you think? Does that look about right? I don't know how far. Hers isn't really like a point. It's, I don't know, it's more of like a, I think it's actually smaller at the bottom, opposite of what I'm making it. Maybe I should flip it. Let me try it that way. Maybe that'll look right. I don't know. I think I prefer it this way, even if hers is actually, because it looks like, I can't think if there's a singer, a rapper that had like a really big, and then it come down to a small bit on his head. Let's try it this way first, and then we'll try it the opposite way. Here, we'll just do that. Not that much stuff, that big of a cost. We'll do it the opposite way and then see which one looks right. Yeah, it could work for a Mickey Mouse hat. That's very true. Let's see. Maybe it's I'm making these too small. Maybe that's what it is. Oops. Okay, so you'd have to imagine, let's see. Let me put a I don't think we have a figurehead. Let's just put a dome where her face would be, so you can kind of see what I'm trying to get at here. The preposterous one, it doesn't look right on her. Her ears are all cut off weird. They stick out funny. I don't like it. It's like her face would be like about here, I guess. Wow, her little buns are like all misangled. Not really lined up. There's like one hairdo, and then this one would be the other one. Like so. Which do you think looks right? I still kind of like this one, even though it's really opposite of what hers is on the picture. But I think either could work. Okay, so then we have to figure out how to do the, I don't know, the lightning bolt, like her Harry Potter stripe or something. It's like wiggly. It looks like a thread been sewn to her hair. My first instinct would be to go with the curtain because it's kind of crinkly along the bottom anyway. But I fear that it would probably be too small. Um, Her hair itself, and you would have like, let me just see. Look up drink. Because The white stripe goes all the way to the end. And it gets bigger, it's bigger here and it narrows up to a smaller crinkly thing there. So you would want to like, I just don't think it'll be feasible. I think it's too long and you have to make it too small to get it to fit and it won't be seen. That's my fear. Yeah, see how that's really pushing it. Wow, twirliness is not very fine. And of course the curtain, the drape or whatever is flat, so it's not like you could really hug the shape of the ball very easily. But what I would try and do is see, now as I move it closer down, I want it bigger, but I fear that you're not going to be able to size it up too much more than it already is. Because again, it's going to stick out. Even though really you'd want it to be that big. So if we can bump it up to 7. Let's see, it's gonna come out. Other things you could probably use is the towels, the towels you get from the boxing gym fab kit. Those would probably be usable. Um, Obviously, the ice rock blocks. A lot of people would probably go for that. Um, Again, though, especially if you're trying to get a nice kind of curvy shape, the size of those ice rock blocks would be pretty small, and the smaller the ice rock blocks are, the less visible they become at a distance, and the distance doesn't have to be very, very big at all. I'm gonna double that, I think. Since I can't size it up too much, I'm just gonna widen it by putting multiples there. It basically just goes right up to her, if her, I can get away with a 7 here. Something like that. Her little white stripe for her hair. Now, if we tried to use, like I said, the ice rock blocks, I don't think they will show up very well. Ice rock. We will try it though. Maybe it will work. Excuse me. Let's see. I have to be pretty close. See how the curtains, they're still visible even at a pretty good distance, but the ice rock blocks, they just kind of off into nothing. Oh, yeah. I have to set up the thread first before I can put the link in. I should have mentioned that. I'll change that after the show, though, because I'll be posting in the forums about the new theme and all that fun stuff. I'm going to try and make it look zigzaggy, sort of. I stress, sort of. Nice and brighter than the other one, but don't know if it'll be, again, it disappears so far. Hey, Nar. Yeah, I've had that comment before. In fact, I think it was someone from, I want to say Hawaii, that would watch, and I helped put them to sleep. So there's a different version if you want to go with the ice rock blocks. Again, they disappear really quick, so it may not be great. Again, for other white pieces, you might could go with the snowy top trees, snowy top rocks. Again, at the size that you're probably going to need them, they may not show up really well at a distance. We do have the firework decor. It's a little more round. It's not as jaggedy as some of the others, so you may have to use a lot more. There's, of course, like I said, the towels. Now, the difference between the, trying to open up the shopper from the wrong windows. If you go with the towel, I would say go with the striped one. It's more white than the lop one. The lop one's more kind of beige orange. Of course, it really depends on if you're farming the boxing gem fab kit for it. You may get more of the lop than the striped just because of RNG, but I think for white, the striped one works best. Trying to think what else might have white that you could use. I wouldn't use layered glass or anything that's too thin. I don't think that would work really well. Can't think of anything else really. If you don't want to use the tires for the hair, you might could get away with, I'm trying to think. You can't use the vent tanks because it's really only the end of the vent tank that might give you the color, you know, if you're looking for black hair at least. But like the exile post, I think it is. up fences. Um, that thing. Yeah, this one, if you can somehow hide this part, you might be able to use this as part of the hair. I think it'd be more, more trouble than it's worth, but it might actually have a few on hand, so might as well test it here. Like if you just wanted to use this part as the hair, you'd have to deal with, what are you going to do with this bit here? I maybe just hide it in the back where her dress is. That be doable? Have the face here, that kind of thing. Let's see. And like use a couple of them to kind of get the shape that you want of the hair. So like so. You could even thicken it up this way if you want, I guess. And then have the white stripe going here. And then you would just have to cover this up with, her robes, her body, whatever. But then the face would go here just like the others. This again looks Egyptian to me. I think it's just the shape. But that's a black bit that you can use. You might could even change the look of it by either sinking it down to get some different levels of the hair. Like if you wanted to kind of say that it's got some kind of difference in it instead of just a block of black. But I think that's not really necessary. If you're going for a different kind of hair, I know we have again, it's very dependent on if you were with us for last year's Shades Eve. There is the angel hair. I don't even know if it's called angel, but the fencing. Oh, what's it called? It's not called stick. It was a thingy on a stick. Hat? Mask. I guess it was mask. Yeah, there we go. There's this one. That's some weird funky hair if you're looking for that. Maybe you want to make some kind of a ghost lady. This is excellent for like if you're looking for a mummy's face. It's already got the wrappings there. The only thing you got to remember with this particular decor piece is it does have that haunted effect. So it'll have that blue swirly ghost stuff that comes around. It's just part of, it's some kind of an interactability with that particular item. The top hat is the same. If you're wanting to build yourself, say you want to do a Jack Skellington kind of thing, and use him as your starter bit, and you want to build off of him with some of the bones from Arctera or something, just keep in mind this particular item is a haunted item. You can cleanse it and remove that effect, but it'll come back on its own. That's just part of it. I think there's several pieces that are like that, but those are the two that come to mind. But then again, maybe that effect plays well to your setting or your theme or your idea. So, it really just depends. Again, if you are looking for that effect, one item, I want to say, I'm trying to think if it was just those two masks or if there was any other object. I know there was the, oh, it kind of looks like the yeah, the shade trap. I don't know if it is actually haunted or if you have to have it on the plot somewhere so that you can de-haunt these two, but they work in conjunction with one another. It like has a funny kind of animation that comes with it too. Now I assume it's always active. I don't know if it just has to be with Shades Eve during the event that it works, but because I haven't used any of this stuff since the actual holiday last year, so. But now, if you're looking for decorations and you haven't participated in last year's Shades Eve and you're wishing you had and you want to make some things like this, um, there's still things you can use. I mean, we have the hay piles and the wheatgrass that you can make your own skeleton with, you know, your little scarecrow for your haunted hayride or something. Um, the top hat, again, maybe you could use that one piece that I was just showing you to make a top hat type of thing. Um, Tires would work probably pretty good for the top hat as well. You would just put one down and then do it like a tiered cake, but instead of multiple tiers, you just have the two. So you'd replicate it, bump it up, reduce it in size, however much you need. You'd want to make it big enough so that it covers, the rim. Maybe you don't mind the rim showing. Maybe it's supposed to be like a ribbon or whatever. And then you just extend it up. And that would be, excuse me, I swallowed a dust bunny. And just keep going up until you get that really long jack shade type of top hat going. And then of course size it down however you need. I know that some like to do their themes after movies, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We saw someone build up a chainsaw a few months back. I think it was Bucky that did it on his plot. But there are other things that you might want to try out. If you're looking for the gory side of things, where you want a lot of like blood or something, obviously you're going to be looking for red items. Chua pillows are really good. In fact, we had several that made very gruesome graphic scenes using the pillows to create drips of blood, you know, from stabbing wounds and things. You know, maybe that's not your thing, but for those that it is, Chua pillows is probably one of the preferred blood kind of things. It takes time to find the right angle for the pillow so that it's only showing what you want to show. And on this round surface is probably going to be even tougher. But I know I've seen people make some interesting effects looking like someone's been stabbed or something. Trying to show it like a trickle of blood, but it's really tough. You just want that edge showing. And of course, I'm on this rounded surface, so it's even tougher. But that's probably one of the reasons why I will revisit some of the older spooky plots that we've come across, because there are some really fun, creative ideas on how people have um, set up things like a little gory scene of somebody getting stabbed, or we've seen some, what do you call them, gallows, the hangman's noose. Seen several of those, hay rides, offering circles from like witches and stuff. Here would be like if she's got a cut, then there's some dripping blood, that kind of thing. For splatters on the ground, a lot of people kind of resort to the purple one from the eye splotch. And we'll show that. Okay. Usually they just flip it, and that becomes a spill of a sort. Well, maybe you're desperate for it to be red. Again, you could use a combination of things. If you have access to the fireworks, I would say use the dynamite one to start with. So we'll just kind of build our own splotch here. And then just build out from that using either the same piece or something else. The main thing you want to make sure is it's the right color. And just play around with how it looks. And get the thingy to lean just like I want. I want this a little lower. Doesn't look. And maybe bigger ones slant this way. Right. I don't know, you just have to experiment. Maybe find some splotches and then try to replicate the way it looks, the shape of it or something. Maybe you want to create a murder scene or something, more into the horror and not necessarily like some of the haunted houses um, I've seen used, like they'll have like plushies with knives and things, and some of them in cages, or maybe they're on a torture rack of some sort. It's getting into more of the horror gore, but there are some that enjoy that kind of bit. So, keep that in mind. That's one thing you could use. The pillows and the red fireworks are probably the go-to ones. I think the band dynamite might work. It's a little bit a different color red. It's not as bright red, blood red, but it's close, I think. Um, if you're going for haunted house type of style, again, with the cobwebs that we talked about earlier, using the eggs for that, but also lots of candles, and those are relatively cheap and they don't count toward your lighting limit, which is really nice. You could just set in a couple of strategically placed actual working lights, sink them into the walls to give it some ambience, if you want to highlight a certain corner of the room or something, or just give it a bit of a weird little glow. Those are handy, and then fill the room with floating candles and stuff is real good. Um, we do have the animated windows. The haunted one is a favorite. It flashes. I don't know if it'll do it in preview, but it flashes, and then there's the train. It kind of has like almost a spotlight kind of effect where it just kind of the light zooms across the room. I've seen both used pretty extensively in haunted house style plots. It is expensive. It's 5,000 renown, so be sure it's what you want before you get it. Trying to think of other things that are actually readily available for those that missed out on last year's stuff. The dummies, the test dummies. I think there's actually one that's called straw dummy, but gosh dang, it's called test. No, it's probably raid. Yeah, these here, I wouldn't recommend getting these because I think they actually have a blue kind of funny animation. But there's one, I think it's called the straw dummy. Let me look on here. Yeah, there's training dummy and straw dummy. I think the straw dummy is the one you want. It doesn't come with any kind of animation. This would be a good start for a like if you're doing like Children of the Corn or something, having a cornfield and you need a scarecrow, this would be a good start. You could give him a hat, put some kind of a jacket or something on him, give him some creepy claws, all sorts of things. You want that house? Which house? The haunted house? The haunted fab kit. The only thing I would say about the fab kit, if you're planning on getting that, is currently you cannot alter the music or the lighting. That was one of the things I had trouble with when I changed it to a beach scene. I had to really add a bunch of lights to brighten it up because it has a hazy look that comes with it. So yeah, the straw dummies are pretty creepy. That's why they make great, uh, scarecrows. Now you could make your own, really, if you just want. You could just have like this grain sacks, make that the body, and then have extra tufts of wheatgrass coming out for the hands and stuff. Use a couple of 2x4s, and you're done. Gravestones. I wanted to mention that too. What is it called? I guess it's just gravestone. Yeah. These two here, those are the ones that are craftable. This is the one that I used for the mailbox earlier. And then, of course, the Dominion version is a little different. Usually, I think most of us sink it down so you don't see this big base, but if you want the base, it's there. These here, I think it comes from the Haunted Fab Kit Graveyard, I think it's called. I don't know if these come, I don't think you can get them just from the vendor. I think it still remains a challenge from the Graveyard Fab Kit. This is great if you're looking for some filler, like for the edges, or you're just doing you need some kind of buildings or headstones for your graveyard, and you don't want to do all of them individually. This is a real helpful item. If by chance you can't get a hold of any of these, there's other statues that you could use as gravestone bits. Statue section. The crypts are very popular. These here. And what I mean by, I don't mean like the whole crypt. Some of them just use the head. Same way with this. Some just use the very top or just the back, and then they put their own little emblem on the body of it so that it looks. I've seen some use the hugels as for Orin themed gravestones. Um, you could really use any of these. This one's a popular one as well because of the wings. I've actually seen some put a head on it. I think they've like used Malvolio's head to put on there. Um, this is a good one for extra creepiness. We now have the dark WildStar statue. That's really handy if you want to put a topper on the headstone, because a lot of them will put these headstones out and then they'll top it with something to make it look nifty. If you're looking for fresh graves and you need like some kind of dirt, again, the sandbags, the grain sacks, uh, even the tops of the bowls, the bowl is a favorite. You turn it upside down. It looks like kind of like a dirt. A lot of it depends on the chosen ground on your plot, depending on where you're putting it, how visible you need it, if it matches or clashes with the ground cover. I think a lot of people for the Shades Eve plots, I think most of them use the clutter because again, it looks a little overgrown and stuff. But that also may determine, you know, what item you use. Maybe it's again, the lighting too is going to play an important factor. Most Shades Eve plots are really darkly lit, so certain items show up better in that dark lighting than other things. So you may just have to play around with it. I would suggest if you're going to build on a dark plot and you're building actually with the dark, not dark, to regularly switch it to the dark lighting to check and see how things are looking, because it's going to help if you can keep a lot of the details you're putting into your build visible. If it's too dark and people can't make out what's going on, it's going to be less enjoyable, in my opinion at least. That's where lighting, especially for the dark plots, comes in so critically, because if you can cleverly place like a lantern or a spooky lamp post or you know, that ritual candle circle that has that nice glow, that can really help bring a lot of that detail to light, literally, in ways that you can still keep that spooky, shadowy, edging kind of bit, but where you want focus, like on an altar table or a special room in the house or something, you can light it up nicely and have it contrast really well. Okay, so yeah, the stone angels. I've seen lots of other, in fact, last year when I did the Shades Eve plot I did for my guild at the time, I tried using all sorts of things for different, like gravestones and stuff. I used like the Chua shells and put like different like pictures or portraits or something, because you know how some they have like the picture of the person and then people lay little wreaths of flowers and things like that, little offerings. Fruit bowl is a popular one because it's, you know, a standalone thing. Again, lots of candles. For creepy plants and stuff that might be easy to get a hold of, I would say if you're looking for bone kind of stuff, the crimson bone bloom, I think is what it's called. Um, it comes from rares. It's something you'd probably have to farm up, but it's not that. Uh, what am I looking in there for? Copper bloom, and uh, this one is a nice creepy one. Again, I think it comes from rares in Mulgrave, I believe. There's a few craftable ones. I think. Look here. Yeah, the Hungary Necrobloom, which we just saw previewed there, is a craftable. That's a really good one for some undergrowth around, maybe a creepy tree that you put together. Speaking of trees, there's withered. The withered pine tree is a good one. Again, I know there's some others, especially from the Shades Eve group, where the skull trees and the horror stump and all that. But I'm looking for those things that are readily available for those that didn't get a chance to grab some of those last year. So the withered is good. There's also the corrupted tree, which is sort of similar. It's basically just leafless trees. The dry log is another good one. I've used this as you can just turn it upright and it looks like an old dead tree that's still, there. It's not fallen over. I know there's a few things from the vendor that you could probably get. I think it's a corrupted cluster of trees. It's like 3 trees together.
These prices are not negotiable.
I can't. There's a smoking torchfire. That's a fun one. Got that creepy look, all raggedy, and then it's got little bits of flame coming out, so that's a fun one to play with. I don't see the corrupted ones here, so it might come from somewhere else. Crowded Graves, it is from here. I wasn't sure. There it is. Again, these are all renowned costs, so. Findley Tree, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Valkyrie Fire Pit is a fave for the Shades Eve. Anything with horns and skulls and stuff. Here we go. Corrupted Trees. It's a stack of 3. I used those quite extensively last year because it was multiples. Yeah, bones. If you're looking for bones, loads of those in Arctera. Yeah, some of them are going to have a little bit of like ice look to them, but I think with the dark lighting and any other kind of like smoke stuff that you might use to give some kind of ambience to your plot, you won't even notice. A lot of people like to use the strain stuff during Shades Eve. It kind of goes with monsters and things with lots of eyes and creepy tentacles and things like that. So those are good props. I know there's some other things like the Hangman's Noose, but that's super rare. I wouldn't recommend. I would say keep an eye out for it, but now that it's so close to Shades Eve, I'm pretty sure any that might be on the auction house is probably going to be an arm and a leg for that. But if you think ahead and keep an eye on the age, sometimes you can find some cheap ones. But I don't think we have any other kind of rope type of items that would really work for a noose. Everything comes attached to something else that just wouldn't lend itself very well. Even the sparking wire has a spark effect at the end, so I don't think we have anything that works. Chains, hanging chains is probably the closest we have to that, unfortunately. Um, Lots of skulls and stuff. We've got the corpses, of course, all of the like roan and uh, the Pumera and I don't know, several others, Mollusk, I think. A lot of those will come in handy because, again, if you're looking for gore and horror type of looks, those will be very helpful. They've got, chunks missing and, their tongues lolling out the side and whatever. But, yeah, I really can't think of any. I mean, there's lots of things that we could probably use. It comes down to if you're looking for specific ideas about what you would use for a certain thing. And that's what's really helpful about some of the chat channels that we have, like the circles. If you happen to be in a guild and you're stumped, ask them. I'm sure they would be more than happy to kind of brainstorm for you. Ask in the forums if you're looking for some kind of an idea, you're looking for a special lighting effect, a certain color of something that you're needing to hunt up and you're kind of stumped as to what could be used. Ask on the forums. There's lots of people willing to help there. Come here to the Twitch show when we're on and ask us there. We're happy to make recommendations over items that you could use. If you're looking for skulls and stuff, I would look through Draken themed items, a little bit of Falcon as well. Pell, maybe. I think they use a lot of bone and stuff in theirs, but also a lot of like electronic things too. So that might not be exactly, but Falcon and Draken tend to be really good for skull bits. They have like the candelabra with the skulls and things like that that should be relatively easy to get a hold of. But again, it's all about thinking outside the box. Who would think tires for hair besides someone like us, where we are looking for, when you're limited on the colors and you're looking for a specific color, you kind of start, reaching out for anything that would kind of be close. And I think the tire works pretty good for black hair. Be glad when they're done with that. So yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up today. I've got some other stuff I need to be taking care of, but I hope you had fun. I know we didn't get a whole lot of building done today. We did a lot of talking about things that we're planning to do, and just a lot of brainstorming, trying to toss out some ideas, because now that we're actually in officially the month of October, it's really going to kick in now about getting those Shadesy plots ready, because you never know. Some group may have the idea to put together a competition of sorts, and they may say it needs to be Shades Eve themed. And if you're not already working on your stuff now, you may not finish in time. To that end, I believe there is still the Lifestyles housing competition going on. I believe they have until, I think it's the 15th of October. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's the 15th. It's open to entity players only. It's just restricted based on how they want to be able to pass out the gifts, and it's cheaper to keep it to their region. You can find out the full information. I think it's in the entity forums specifically. Should be right up close to the top because they keep bumping it to keep it up on the adverts. But I don't think they're specifically looking for Shades Eve. I think any theme goes. So you should be good on that part, even if you're not doing anything haunted or whatever. But be sure and check that out if you happen to be on Entity and want to show off your plot. It's a good chance to not only get a little bit of fame, but also a chance at some prizes. I don't know what all they have available for prizes. I think the last I heard they were still in negotiations with Carbine, trying to get some actual physical swag that they could mail out to winners, but I haven't seen or heard of any updates on that. And since I'm not into D, I don't really keep track of who's been entering on the thread, so you just have to check that out for yourself. But of course, we do have the CBDC. Monsters is the theme this month. Of course, there are no prizes involved. I keep it strictly, voluntary basis. If you want to participate, yay. If not, okay. We're going to keep at it. I'm going to be building, of course, Bride of Frankenstein to go along with Frankie. Hopefully, she ends up turning out to be not too horrible. But we'll be working on that. We'll be working on general fall decoration ideas. I'm going to be working on Turnip's plot. We decorated her plot last year for Christmas. We had garlands and went through a variety of different types of trees to make for the living room kind of setting. This year we're going to be concentrating on fall type of bits. So it'll be a lot of orange and browns and yellows and things like that. So we'll see what we can come up with. In the meantime, I hope you guys had a super weekend. I hope it leads to a super week this week. And barring anything coming up, we should be here tomorrow, same time, same stuff. Hopefully expanding on Miss Frankenstein here. And of course, Wednesday is house tours. I believe is it Dominion's turn again? I've already forgotten. I don't know, it's somebody's turn. But we'll be doing house tours on Wednesday, of course. And with the CBDC, it just so happens that the showcase will land on October 31st. So it's like perfect. It was made just for us. So you have a whole month to get your monster or monsters in order. And then on the 31st, which I think falls on a Monday, that's when we'll do the showcase for the CBDC this month. So if you don't join us for anything else, join us for the house tours on Wednesdays and of course that CBDC showcase at the end of the month. Thank you for joining. Appreciate all of the support, the tweets, the retweets, the follows, the votes. Much appreciated, and especially the company and the chat. Always appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Until then, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.